Welcome to English Universe. In this lesson, you will improve your English by listening to a story. Listen carefully and repeat after me to practice pronunciation. Let's begin. My name is Emily, and I want to tell you about how I overcame my greatest fear. For years, I was terrified of public speaking. Just the thought of standing in front of people and talking made my heart race. My palms would sweat, and my stomach would twist in knots. I avoided every situation where I might have to speak in public. But one day, I realized I couldn't run from it forever. I had to face my fear. It all started when I was in college. I was a quiet person, always sitting in the back of the classroom, hoping I wouldn't be called on. I loved learning, but I hated speaking in front of others. My professors often encouraged participation, but I kept my head down. I thought that if I never spoke, no one would notice me. One day, my professor announced that we had to give a presentation. Each student would choose a topic, prepare a speech, and present it to the class. My heart sank. I wished I could disappear. I considered skipping the class on the presentation day, but I knew I had to do it. I had no choice. I chose a simple topic, my favorite book. I spent hours preparing. I wrote every word carefully and practiced in front of the mirror. But every time I imagined standing in front of my classmates, fear took over. What if I forgot my words? What if they laughed at me? What if my voice shook? The day of the presentation arrived. I sat in my seat, waiting for my turn. My hands were cold and my chest felt tight. One by one, my classmates stood up and presented their topics. Some were confident, speaking clearly and naturally. Others were nervous, just like me. But they did it. I knew I had to do it too. When my name was called, I felt like I was walking to my doom. I stood in front of the class, holding my notes tightly. My voice trembled as I started speaking. My hands shook, and I could feel my face turning red. I stumbled over my words, but I kept going. I didn't stop. I finished my presentation, took a deep breath, and sat down. I had done it. It wasn't perfect, but I had faced my fear. After class, my professor came up to me. She smiled and said, "You did well. I know it was difficult for you, but you spoke clearly and shared your ideas. That's what matters." Her words gave me confidence. I realized that I had survived. I had spoken in front of people, and nothing terrible had happened. That moment changed everything. I decided I didn't want fear to control me anymore. I started pushing myself little by little. I joined a debate club. Even though it scared me, I forced myself to participate in class discussions. I volunteered to present in group projects. Each time, it got easier. I still felt nervous, but I learned to manage it. I learned to take deep breaths and slow down. I learned that making mistakes was okay. 1 year later, I signed up for a public speaking competition. It was something I never imagined I would do. Standing on a stage, speaking to an audience, it seemed impossible. But I had come so far. I had worked so hard. I wasn't going to let fear win. On the day of the competition, I stood on the stage, looking at the audience. My hands shook, but I took a deep breath. I started speaking. This time, my voice was stronger. I spoke with confidence. I shared my story, my ideas, my thoughts. When I finished, people clapped. I smiled, knowing that I had conquered my fear. But my journey wasn't over. I wanted to keep improving. I signed up for more speaking opportunities. I attended workshops and learned new techniques. I watched videos of great speakers and took notes. I practiced every day, speaking in front of a mirror, recording myself, and analyzing my mistakes. Slowly, I built my confidence. Slowly, I became a better speaker. One day, I was invited to give a talk at a local community event. The topic was about overcoming fear. I stood in front of a large audience, feeling the familiar nervous energy. But this time, I embraced it. I spoke with passion, using gestures, making eye contact, and connecting with my audience. At the end of my talk, people came up to me and said they felt inspired. They told me they also had fears to overcome, and my story gave them hope. That was the moment I truly realized how powerful words can be. A single story can change lives. A single speech can inspire someone to take action. I had come a long way from the shy girl who avoided speaking in class. Now, I was someone who could stand on a stage and speak with confidence. Looking back, I realized that fear is just an obstacle in our minds. It feels big, but when we face it, we see that it's not as scary as we thought. I used to believe I could never speak in public, but now I know I can. And if I can overcome my fear, so can you. If you're afraid of something, don't run from it. Face it. Take small steps. Keep trying. You'll be surprised at how strong you are. Fear only has power if you let it. But once you take control, you can achieve anything. Thank you for listening to English Universe. Keep practicing and see you next time.